As you know, we've been working on the Diamond District for a number of months. We're bringing it back, obviously, now because of the change in the financing structure, as well as the fact that the developer has changed. This is a transformative project for the city. It has been reduced in scope. The original development agreement that we brought before you last time this year, last May of last year, was for the entire 67 acres. Phase 1 has been reduced. It is now a little more than 21 acres, leaving a little bit more than 30 some odd acres to be developed in the future. Also, the developer has slightly changed. The original composition included 3 major development entities: Tallheimer Real Property, locally based, Republic based out of DC, and Loop Capital based out of Chicago. Loop Capital and Tallheimer are still party of this team. However, Republic is no longer, thus requiring a new name for the development team, which is Diamond District Partners, LLC. Some of the other major changes I think I went over with you at the Finance Committee. I'm going to go back to the key ones, which is the structuring of the bonds. Originally, we had proposed that there be a CDA, a Diamond District CDA created, and that the CDA would then issue the bonds for both the stadium and just for the stadium, and that the city was going to use its CIP funds and proceeds from the sale of the land to pay for the public infrastructure. As you know, our current proposal before you, because it seems to be less risk for the city and financially more viable, is to have the city issue the stadium bonds in an amount approximately $130 million. That's gross, with a net proceeds of $110 million for the actual stadium. Those bonds would be backed by the city, and we have our financial advisors here. If anybody still has any questions with regards to that risk analysis of why this is a better way to do this. And then the EDA will be issuing bonds for the public infrastructure, and that's in an amount just less than $40 million. And again, that's for the phase 1 infrastructure, which is roads, utilities, and part of the park space south of what will be a new Sherwood Avenue. And those bonds will have a moral obligation backed by the city. I'm available to answer any specific questions you may have, but I do want to bring to your attention an article that has been floating around the last couple of days by RVA 5x5. I've written a response to you this morning, but if you haven't had a chance to read that, there's some misinformation in that article that the Diamond District CDA could in fact go rogue, for lack of a better word, and start to issue debt. And that's just erroneous. Anything that the CDA, we didn't give the CDA those powers in the ordinance before you. So any ability for the CDA to issue loans or bonds would require them to come back before council. And then the other thing I just want to bring to your attention in that article was sort of a backdoor trap, as I think it was referred to in the article. And there is a reason we're setting up a CDA. One, part of the development agreement, and we had always structured it, there's surcharge taxes. Those surcharge taxes are unique to just the CDA boundaries, the 67 acres. There's a $1 surcharged hotel tax. And there's also a 25-cent surcharge tax for meals and sales within that district. And it's perceived that that's going to go for the long-term maintenance of the facility, of the public realm. So as things start to come up, the new stadium, the new buildings, and the new retail, those monies will be going and helping us set up a reserve for long-term maintenance. So I just want to explain why we're setting up the CDA today. So that is in fact in place. And then more importantly, that trapdoor issue of, why, the CDA could perhaps issue loans. If they did decide to do that, and please remember there's a phase 2 or future phase that's not within this development agreement, that CDA, it would be the hope that that CDA would be issuing bonds in the future for the rest of the public infrastructure, the rest of the park, the parking structure, and the rest of the roadways. That's not a bad thing. We don't want the city to have to pay for that as well. And so in the future, that is a possibility and a probability that the CDA would come back and ask those approvals from council and take on that. And again, they would be doing so using the revenue, the new incremental tax revenues derived from that future phase. So I just want to explain that. And again, if anybody has any questions or concerns, I'm here, as well as our financial advisors, and our bond counsel is here as well, if there's any concerns.